So I talked about Banfield. I talked about a source of a video now that's getting kind of spread all over the interwebs of a supposed close source to DM that is giving more intimate details of who, what, where, and why. I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play that audio for you. And again, I don't see any credibility in this. I know this has been talked about. It's been debunked. It's been confirmed. But let's play through this audio and see what you guys think.
Or we dive into what I'm referring to.
All we know at this point is this is just someone, and this was posted, what, 4 weeks ago, a month ago, about 4 weeks ago. You know, it's just a voice speaking. We don't know what this is, but they're just saying that in the base of the point of this, the feds threw Dylan Mortensen under the bus. Well, let's find out here. What do we think?
Screwing or attempting to screw Dylan. And give you a brief background as to who I am. So my girlfriend is in Dylan's inner circle.
So he's claiming his girlfriend is in the inner circle. Those inner circles.
And by inner circle, I mean inner.
The inner circle.
Like they've hung out almost every day since the incident occurred. And I've seen her a plethora of times as well.
Okay.
So you're going to notice I'm not going to use words like allegedly, supposedly, because all of this is actual firsthand.
So he's not going to use the words allegedly, supposedly, because this is firsthand. I don't know. I'm having a hard time.
Factual information. Where should I start to clear things up? First of all, there's a lot of misconception about Dylan suffering from PTSD or trauma or any of that. None of that is accurate. In fact, when we try to console Dylan after the incident, she's the one.
So he said when we tried to console her. Okay, interesting.
That was laughing at me and my girlfriend and I, talking about we're so weird, and we tried to give her a hug and stuff. So she's still.
So she went through a traumatic experience, and all of a sudden, according to this source, this person, she's okay. Okay, gotcha.
Same old Dylan. She's had a rough life growing up. She's been through a lot. She doesn't have PTSD and didn't suffer any trauma. The incident that night, and what I'm referring to, the Fed actually put a lot of words into her mouth that she didn't say herself first. So this
is the thing too, is I'd be pretty careful what you're saying about the feds putting words into people's mouths. It's probably not the best practice to talk like that, but we'll play on here and see what we think.
There was a lot of leading statements that they were insinuating to her, and she was really scared the first few days, obviously, after the incident occurred. So, like, the reason none of it makes sense in the affidavit is because it didn't really happen that way. So she never stood there shocked when she saw the individual. She was just standing in her doorway, like anybody who opens the door. It was just, she opened the door and yelled at Ethan and Xana, and who she thought was their friend. She yelled at them to be quiet. That's what was going on with that situation. And she just went back into the room. She locked the door like usual. And, went to sleep. Everything was quiet after she yelled at them. so she didn't think anything of it. For everyone who's creating these random stories about her being shocked or traumatized, she didn't realize anything was going on. And might sound crazy, might sound dumb, but she really had no clue anything was going on. They were being a little loud, so she yelled at them to be quiet. And that's it. She locked her door and she just went back to her room. And she didn't want to be nosy or anything. So, she was kind of new to that house, so she didn't want to be nosy and get up all up in their business, especially at in the middle of the night or early morning. So it's as simple as that. Everyone trying to blow that whole situation into something that's not.
So what do you guys think so far? You think this is credible? I mean, I'm having a hard time. I mean, I can see maybe some of the details out there. Maybe this person's using some Reddit theories, but I don't see it. I don't see the credibility in this. Let's play on.
Um, so yeah, that's that.
That's
And
that.
she didn't actually get a real good look uh at Brian. At the time, she assumed it was one of Xana and Ethan's friend who was just getting ready to leave, who was walking out. She didn't get that good of a look. The feds were really aggressive with Dylan the first few days, which is why she hired the attorney to begin with, because of the treatment of her during the interview, more like an interrogation, to be honest. So that
Well, yeah, I mean, it probably would be an interrogation. You are a surviving person in a home where 4 people were murdered. So I'm sure the police would have a lot of questions and the feds would have a lot of questions.
that's why she got an attorney, because the way they were talking to her and they didn't really understand.
Well, naturally, you probably would get attorney. And just going back to what I just said, you are a surviving person in a home where 4 people have been mysteriously murdered. So, yeah, you probably want to get an attorney at that point.
And to believe why she's the only one alive when you kind of skip rooms to get to the other 2 rooms. So she didn't really like the feel of how the interrogators or the feds were talking to her. Um, and within like a few days after the incident, they approached her with pictures of Brian. I was like, "Is this the guy? Do you think this is the guy? This is definitely him, right?" And they were almost leading her to believe this has to be the person. And she wasn't really sure, but they kind of put those words in her mouth. It's almost like, they were insinuating it so much to where she was like, "Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, no, it's definitely him." Um, and that's when they just kind of like ran with it. So what you see in the affidavit is it didn't play out that way. Um,
So it didn't play out that way. But this guy knows because he's in the inner circle. He's there.
so Dylan's attorney and her, and actually all of us, are pretty upset at how they threw her under the bus in the affidavit. When's the last time you've seen a witness or like a snitch in a case, their actual names being mentioned? The fact that they didn't redact it. We all think that the feds and prosecutors threw her name in there purposely
Well, her name was in there because she was an eyewitness, dummy.
to apply more pressure, because Dylan was really wishy-washy during the interrogation, and with them, putting these words, set in stone on paper, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on her now because everyone views her as like some star witness, the star of the
Well, she
case.
is a star witness. She was there in the house, dummy.
So uh, that's what we all believe, that she kind of is getting screwed over by, the feds and the prosecutor, because now she has to testify and she has to say kind of what words they put in her mouth instead of what she actually believed,
No. No.
and what she actually knows happened, like with her own words, not words that were like shoved in her mouth.
Oh.
So, yeah, her attorney's pretty upset. She's pretty upset. But at the same time, she knows that, she can be a huge help in this case. So it's not like she's identifying
So
somebody.
that absolutely makes no sense. Here, this guy just trashed the authorities, the federal agents, the whole justice system, but basically says afterwards, after trashing everybody, well, she can be a big help to this case. She knows that she can be a big help to this case. This is where I'm losing a lot of credibility in this supposed person that's in the inner circle.
She didn't see. It just didn't play out necessarily like, oh, bushy eyebrows. She saw bushy
He's
eyebrows.
kind of psychobabbling now. He's just repeating everything that he just said 8 minutes ago. But I have
And was
a
able to
couple more minutes. We're
100%
gonna finish this
identify
up.
him. It's just initially when, detectives and feds came in and took over the scene had been contaminated so badly by the local authorities. When they first came, first responders, they stomped all over the place, contaminated the scene,
So
you know.
not the people that were there prior to law enforcement contaminating the scene, but it's just law enforcement themselves. They're the ones that potentially did this. Okay.
All the, other people that were at the house,
Yeah.
they were, walking up and down the steps, to make sure what they're seeing is what they're really seeing. So I mean, this is a scene that was really badly contaminated. So to equal the playing field, the feds feel like, having a star witness is critical here. Um, but just the way she was being interrogated initially was it's kind of crazy. It's not what you guys think. They weren't being all sensitive and gentle to her. They were really accusatory and kind of, pressured, put the press on
Well,
her.
that would be, again, it goes back to your surviving victim, one of two surviving victims in a home where four people mysteriously get murdered. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably going to be a little pressure from the authorities to turn up the heat a little bit to see if you're going to crack, either give some information or admit to what's actually happened in the house. So, again, I'm having a really hard time with the credibility of this inner circle witness. But we're going to keep playing through this. We'll finish it up, and then I have a little bit of another presentation that I want to bring up.
Thought that she
It's
might
almost
have
laughable.
something to do with it because it just didn't make sense to them why she's the only one alive. And on top of that, didn't see anything or really hear anything. She didn't want to be nosy, didn't want to, get up in her roommate's business. She told him to be quiet. I mean, the last thing that crossed her mind was people are getting slaughtered next door and upstairs. So, I think that's pretty much everything I've covered. So, yeah, just to go over the whole, you know, suffering trauma, she was shocked as she saw him walk past her. Like, it's not as dramatic as you guys think. Like, he was already halfway towards the kitchen and walking out. Um, And for all of y'all that are scratching your heads, yes, police do lie. They've kind of thrown everybody around the ringer through this whole case from the very start. Um, and you have to think about it. Why would have a survivor, a victim, have to hire an attorney? Obviously, they were mistreating her pretty badly as they're interrogating her, you know, and especially now throwing her name in the affidavit like that. That's all because they're pretty upset she hired an attorney to begin with. And because they want to put a lot of pressure on her from the public for her to be the star witness. But aside from that, she's doing good. She's the same old Dylan.
This guy.
And
I can't.
yeah, no, there's no
I
trauma,
can't.
PTSD, anything.
I
She really
can't.
feels for,
I
her
can't.
friends who are deceased, and she does beat herself up a little bit about not being more involved in the situation that night. But realistically, I mean, something like that is not going to cross your mind that something like that's taking place in your house. So yes, she does feel for the family, and she's really saddened by the whole situation. But as far as her as an individual, she's still the same person. She's not like a traumatized individual, So yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything, and let's see. Yeah, no, that's everything.
Is he reading from a script?
Hopefully,
Let me
this video doesn't
see.
come off sounding crazy.
It doesn't sound crazy.
And clears up a lot of the questions everybody has.
Well, you've
All
answered
right.
all my questions. Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. Oh boy. Anyway, I want to play the audio from that. That's a video that's kind of making around the interwebs. It's got 43,000 views on it. It's the only video audio that's posted on that channel, but I don't see any type of credibility in it.